And here we go. We're going to take a look at a little slideshow I've put together for you. And this, of course, is our 3 steps to sorting out our photos. And in case we're meeting for the very first time, as I saw some, first-time attendees popping into the chat, it's great to meet you. And if you're back again, I hope that just means you're really enjoying our club, and we're back for more ideas. So here we go, 3 steps to sorting out photos. And of course, this is digital and paper, or maybe for you, it's both. So there's 3 steps. Step 1, we need to decide what's your goal. And I highly suggest that you have a goal in mind. The reason for this is, through the years, I've had the pleasure of working with many clients, presenting a lot of programs, and photos is always a popular topic. I've also written 6 books on organizing. My newest one is Keep This, Toss That. There's an entire section on photographs and keepsakes. And so if we don't have a goal in mind, I have watched and heard stories and done this myself, where I start sorting, I start deleting, but then I never know, like, am I done? Have I reached a goal? Because I didn't have a goal in mind. In fact, you may have put paper photos in an album and then wondered, why did I do that? Or you took them all out of an album and then also wondered, what was I thinking? So we really want to have that goal in mind. Your goal can change. We don't have to know absolutely for sure, but we need a really good sense of where are we going with this whole thing. So let's talk about the goal for just a minute. Then we'll move into step 2. So your goal, is it that you are the keeper of most of the photos right now, maybe even family, historical photos, black and white photos from years gone by, and you don't even know if those people are in your family tree? Who knows? So if this is part of the situation, that you're sort of the keeper of the photos, and maybe there's a next generation in the family, maybe there's not. If there's not, then the photos kind of end with you. If there is, maybe that generation has expressed no interest at all. And that's challenging. It's disappointing, but I will say that that can change. So right now there may not be an interest, but it's because you're here and you are keeping the photos. Now, it's probably more helpful to have the photos digitized. And by that, I mean, not every paper photo you have, but a small collection of photos that if they only exist in paper format, it would be lovely to digitize it. And I'm just doing those little quote marks because really what that means for me is, in good lighting, without a flash on your phone so you don't get a reflection, snap a picture of the paper picture. And of course, we've all watched the natural disaster, Hurricane Helene, who, rolled through so many states. And one of the things when that happens, and of course, we're wishing everyone well, and it's just so much devastation. And what we see is that, homeowners will be looking for photos. Photos bring us back to an emotion, a person, a place, a time, a moment, and that's why they're so precious. And so if they're sitting in your garage or your basement or your attic, if they're yellowing, getting brittle, getting damp, they're gluing themselves together, they're getting moldy and musty, bringing them in and sorting through them, anything we do now to protect them will be better than maybe where we are today. So what is your goal? And your goal may be to say, I have an entire bookcase of albums that no one looks through. So I'm going to open those albums. I'm going to take pictures of a few of the pictures that are most meaningful. And then I'm going to keep the albums, or I'm going to take the albums apart, or I'm going to consolidate the albums. I'm going to flip through the albums, pull out the pictures that we don't need, share pictures by mailing them off to people who might want them, and then consolidating the albums into maybe a third of the number of albums you have. Maybe your goal is to start labeling things because we don't know who the people in the photos are. And if you're the only one that knows them, when you're no longer here, no one's going to know them. And we may have inherited photos like that. And then we're trying to figure out who the people are. Is your goal for digital photos just to simply downsize the sheer volume of them, or to be able to retrieve them easily? And maybe that's true of paper and digital, where when you're looking for a photo, you just want to be able to find it. So when we start to turn our attention towards the goal first, I think it's an easy way into this whole process. We didn't even have to touch a photo. We just have to decide what the goal is. So I encourage you to think about what your goal is. There's no right or wrong goal. And so just consider, like, how would we use the photos? How would I retrieve them? Am I going to be the keeper of them? At least for now, you're like the keeper of them. So of course, our second step is to start deleting. So discarding or deleting the unwanted photos. And this may look like, well, just sitting down and deleting. It could look like the paring down of loose photos. We could be starting to gather those. So these are the photos that we want to start to take a look at. And when we go back to the what's the goal, we need a first step. So my suggestion is always to deal with loose photos first. I know there's sometimes maybe that inkling of like, well, let me get all the photos together. I'll take the photos out of albums and add them to the piles of loose photos if you have boxes or piles of loose photos. I think that just adds to the overwhelm, and it can be such an intimidating process. So if things are in albums and they're somewhat tidy and they're kind of together or almost chronological, let's just leave them alone. We'll deal with loose photos first. Then we can always add to the collection. And of course, if it's digital, we're just going through and we're going to look at a few quick ways, little shortcuts, hopefully, to not only deleting a lot of digital at once, but also recalling the ones that you want. So really our second step here is what you probably thought it would be. So it's not probably a big surprise. We just have to get in there and start deciding. So as an example, maybe you have duplicates or triplicates. Has anyone gotten those? Remember when we used to go get film developed on a regular basis and you'd get that little envelope, and then the envelope would come and you get the negatives, which for most of us, we probably don't need the negatives by the time you figure out what's on it, and then find a Photoshop to make you a photo from it. With the exception of if you know you don't have it or you absolutely want it, there is equipment that you can buy or you can borrow or you can use or you can hire someone to digitize slides and negatives and things like that. But if you know you have it in triplicate, which most of us, that's what I did. I just checked the box like triplicate because it was like 25 cents more. And then you ended up with so many photos. I'm also famous, and maybe you are too, for taking pictures like in sequence. So let's say it's a child's first birthday, right? A big occasion, and maybe there's a party. And so we have a picture of the first birthday cake. Then we have a picture of the first birthday cake with someone sticking the candle in the cake. And then we have a picture of the first birthday cake now with the candle in the cake. Now we have a picture of the first birthday cake with the candle and the candle being lit. Then we have a picture of the cake being walked over. Maybe there's a child in a high chair. So very carefully, because there's a lit candle, if there's a lit candle, we're bringing the cake over to the high chair. Then we've got a picture of the baby and maybe looking at the cake with the lit candle, safely. Then we have a picture of everyone trying to help the baby blow out the candle. Then we have a picture of the candle blown out. Then we have a picture of the cake without the candle, and then the baby maybe reaching towards the cake. Then the first fistful of the icing, and then the icing on their face. And so you get the picture, right? It's like you're almost taking a video. That's what I think of it, but I'm taking like snapshot. And then I've got all these pictures. And as a whole, sure, they tell a story. But what's really interesting is one of the last pictures also tells the entire story. And so when I keep them all, what I know is true for me is that then I don't enjoy any of them because I just have too many. So if you've done that because in the moment, like me, I've enjoyed taking the photos, then you choose the best one. I also do a lot of photos of wildlife. And so the butterfly moving, the butterfly not moving, that sort of a thing. So I just got a really cute picture today of a little bumblebee in a flower. So his like little bumblebee butt is covered in pollen and it's adorable. But I had like 40 pictures that didn't work and then the one that did. So being in the moment, deleting the ones and keeping the one that tells the best story. So discarding and deleting, and that feels different for each and every one of us. Sometimes we're very comfortable recycling or just trashing photos. In my county in New Jersey, you can't recycle photos. They are a true trash. Some Staples and Best Buy stores will take photos from you if you're uncomfortable just throwing them in trash, depending on the requirements of your area. But something to consider here is that if you're uncomfortable completely just discarding a photo, especially if it has some person in it and it feels to some people like you're almost like throwing the person away, then I would put them in a box that's just like unwanted duplicates or put them in an envelope. And that way, you know, you don't need them. The other thing that I'll put in an envelope are any photos that come up while I'm sorting, and we're talking paper photos, of course, but that bring up a bad memory. Maybe there's been a rift in a relationship, a friendship that's broken for now, an estrangement in a family, and we don't know if that will be repaired. Your feelings may change in the future, and so while you may not want to look at the photos today, that could change. And so you could just put them together, label them, seal it closed, and should you choose to look at them at a future date. The reason I do that and separate them out, if that's ever an occasion, is that as I'm looking through happy memories, and then like you get to one and you're like, oh, bummer, I was having such a good time looking through the photos, and then this one triggered an unhappy memory. So you wouldn't have to, it's just an idea and something to consider. So our third and final step is to continue the new system when adding new photos, right? So we want to maintain. I think it would be very discouraging to work on your photos, digital and or paper, for a period of time. Feel like, okay, I've got stuff labeled, I've got things organized, I can find what I'm looking for. I'm on a really good trend here. And then be maybe given photos over the upcoming holiday season or getting photo cards, and then they end up in a pile, and then the pile starts again, or you just take a bunch more digital photos and they don't have a plan, and then they sit in your gallery on your phone and you're like, yep, did it again. I knew I couldn't, do this. I knew this wasn't for me. I know I'm not an organized person. Why did I even try? And I think we would have just missed the third, maybe most important step, and that is to continue the system when adding in new photos, because hopefully you're going to want to take more photos and you'll be receiving more photos, and you won't feel overwhelmed by the photos after tonight's program. Hopefully we'll have a plan. So who's getting a warning? Is anyone else getting a warning, an out of storage notification? This would, of course, be for digital photos, but honestly, I feel like I have my own warning out of storage notification just in life, right? Because I'm like, I can't fit another box in this closet. So we're getting that like warning, warning, out of storage, or you are over your storage quota and you're now going to have to pay for additional storage. In fact, how many of us are paying for additional storage? And it may be $1.99 a month, which, I don't want to spend your money for you. Everyone's budget's different, but maybe $1.99 doesn't feel like that much. But then we times that by 12. So now we're like $24 for the year, which again, but now we do that the rest of your life. And if we continue adding, it's not going to be $1.99 or $2.99. It might be $9.99. And now we're really getting into some money that's going to accrue that I'd personally rather spend on other things. So maybe making new memories instead of storing old memories would be my plan. So if you're getting that warning out of storage notification, you're definitely tuned into the right program. And my suggestion is, if it's digital, delete videos first. Videos take up way more storage space than photos do for the most part. Videos would be a great thing to start with. So maybe you went to a concert or a recital and you recorded all 2 hours. And so, and then you're like, you know what? The concert, it wasn't that great. There was a lot of background noise. My phone was jiggling. And you know what? I don't even need that, concert, let's say. I'll just listen to the band's album or something. So maybe the entire concert video can go. If you had something like a recital video, or, some other video that is important or more important than the other, you can always trim those videos. So maybe you've seen that when you're playing back a video and it says trim. Sometimes it's found under edit, which sometimes looks like a pair of scissors, the little icon for a pair of scissors. Sometimes it looks like a pencil for edit, right? A pencil is usually the icon that you'll see for edit. And so if you're watching a video and your option is some sort of edit or trim, you can do that. And basically what that means is when you hit the edit to trim, you'll see a little running, almost what would look like an EKG machine at the bottom of the video. And you would just pull in by, touching it, and then pull in on your screen to where you want the video to stop and where you want the video to start. And maybe you want it to start at the beginning or wherever the part is where like your favorite person is in the video. And you just sort of pull it together to get that part. And then you hit whatever it says, like trim or go. Everyone's phone might be a little bit different, and it will cut that video and only keep the portion that you just said. Now, if this is new technology and you're concerned that you may have made a mistake and you want to keep the original. When you do a trim, oftentimes, and again, everyone's phone could be a little different, but there is usually an option to say save or save as or save new. So you could save the new one, which is also going to keep the original, then check the new one, be sure you have what you want, and then delete the original. And it's important to delete the original because now you'd have two, but your second one would be a whole lot shorter. So over the summer months, you'll often find me out in the yard, video just the black grass because it's dark out. And it's because I try to get the lightning bugs, but then I'll do like 40 minutes of nothing and then one lightning bug. And honestly, I just really like doing it. I never watch the videos anyway, but those are the videos that I can delete for sure because I've got them from years and years and years. So that's all to say, delete videos first. And if you're wondering, when are we going to get to the dental floss? Stay tuned because it's coming up in just a moment. Now, it's not just photos, right? So when we're going through paper photos, there's a really good chance that in albums, scrapbooks, or in boxes, you're going to find ticket stubs and playbills and maybe even greeting cards. Here I have one, a greeting card. And so I would absolutely consider that you would maybe want a treasure box. Please don't go and buy anything new. I would shop at home first. There's a good chance you have what you need. Maybe you have stacking hat boxes or, a vintage cigar box or some sort of a container, even just a plastic storage container for organizing. Label it. I think everyone should have a treasure box. So you and everyone else in your house, if there's anyone else in your house, and everyone gets a treasure box. And that's going to be the place to store these paper keepsakes. If we're not putting them in albums, where are they going to go? And they'll be together. So a treasure box, I think, is a super important and really fun idea, especially if you were gathering photos together for maybe, children or nieces, nephews, grandchildren, then they kind of get a little treasure keepsake box. So there are trying a keyword for our search. And this is something that if you'd like to join us for a little test with this, please do. So when you open up your gallery on your phone of photos, there should be like this flashing icon here, a little magnifying glass. It usually looks like a circle with a line, and that's meant to indicate magnifying glass, which is often the search button. So if you hit that little magnifying glass icon, when you're looking at your photos, the search button should pop up for you, the search bar. And in the search bar, you can type in a keyword. You could type in a color like red, and any one of your photos, your digital photos that included something red would come back for you. Flower or recipe or, handwriting even. So if you typed in the keyword handwriting, anything you would take in a picture of that looked like handwriting, like a greeting card where someone had written something, that picture would come back for you. Beach or business card or document. Let's say you took a picture of a letter, that would come up for you. Screenshots, if you tend to take a lot of screenshots, and I sure do. When I go to pick up my groceries, they give me an order number. I screenshot it so I don't lose it. And then I've got all these screenshots of groceries I've picked up for years and years and years. So if you want to try and, sort of just do this along with us live, please do. It's always optional. But, open up your phone and try not to get distracted. So that's the other piece to this. But open up your phone, head into where your photos are. So it might be gallery, or it might say photos. It might be Google Photos. If you use Google Photos, it might be iPhotos if you're an iPhone user. And let's just take a look. Try the little search term and see what you get. You could put in something like wedding, and any picture where someone looked like they were formally dressed or wearing a wedding dress, that picture would come back for you. Now, it's going to be every picture that they think looks like this, but you could type in, flower or deer. If you, like me, I take pictures of the deer in the backyard. So this is kind of a fun thing, especially if you were thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to rename every photo and I've got tens of thousands of photos. I'm never going to be done. Well, we wouldn't necessarily have to do that because this would allow you to search the photos based on a keyword. So drop in some more keywords. If you're practicing along with us, jump in the chat and let us know. Are there keywords you're trying that are working? And is it really easy then to find what you're looking for? You can also try words like blurry, like the photo is blurry. And some devices recognize blurry as, oh, this person's asking me to show me all the photos that I think as a computer are blurry. And then those are easy to delete because you can look at them and go, yep, that was blurry, that was blurry. So that's another one to consider. Those keywords can be really, really helpful. So keep those comments coming in the chat, and we are looking at those keywords, keywords that you can use to do a little search. All right, so to easily delete, this is one of my favorite ways to delete. Remember, I was saying like a picture, a chain of pictures, right, for a first birthday, or my bumblebee with his pollen. So in order to do that, probably the easiest thing to do so you know which ones you want to delete is to go into your camera roll, like where you had just taken a picture and you can see all the pictures that you've taken. And for all of us, whether we're Android users or iPhone users, you'll be able to favorite the photo in some way. Give it a little heart, give it a little star, some way you can indicate on that photo that that photo is your favorite. And when you do that, now as I look at the grouping of photos, so I go back to where there's all the little thumbnails of the photos. So 16 photos of a birthday cake, 24 photos of a flower with a bumblebee. One of them will have, or more if you've chosen more, the ones you've chosen will have the heart or the star highlighted on the little thumbnail, which clearly lets you know those other ones we can say so long to. So I'm able to then delete in big batches, 10, 20 or more at a time. So if you're looking at your photos and you see those thumbnails, the easiest way for most of us, and again, everyone's device can be a little different. So if I'm saying something that's not working for you, let us know and we'll help you figure it out. Typically, you would hold your finger over one of the thumbnails on the screen, just press and hold for just a second or two, and usually a little circle comes up in the top corner of the photos. And then you can select each one by touching inside that little circle, and it will highlight those photos and it lets you know, oh, you've selected 5 or 10 or 15, and then you can delete them by hitting the trash can all at once. Now, if this is new technology or you're uncomfortable because we're not really sure and you're just giving it a go and you're nervous about what if I make a mistake, the photos that you delete from your device go into a trash can, and the trash can usually doesn't just delete them. So we can always recall them back from trash, but you would want to do it sooner rather than later because our trash can be deleted. It might be set for 24 hours, 3 days, 7 days, 30 days, and you'd have that time to get them back. So if that's important to you to practice, personally, what I did to practice was to take a picture that I didn't care about, then hit trash, then try to find my trash and recall it, recover it. And that gave me the confidence. And as I was doing all of this new technology stuff, when I wasn't sure what I was doing, I wrote it down as I went. So then I could do it again, especially because some of this my nephew helped me with. And I was like, how do I do this? And he's like, do, 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 do. And I'm like, no, 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 wait. I need you to like show it to me so I could write it down. And I'm like, touch the circle with the thing. Like I'm writing it in the way that it made sense to me. So is anyone practicing a little easy delete with us? Bulk delete, and maybe you're deleting some photos as we go. So let's take a look for those of us that either are Apple users or Google Photos users. This is an easy-ish way, hopefully, to add a name to a photo, pet or person, to make the photo searchable. And this is a really cool feature. If you haven't practiced it before, you might want to try it with us now. So again, always optional, but you would want to open up your photos. If you're an Apple user, you'll click on a person or a pet that there's a photo of. And there should be that little eye button. You see that little eye icon? That's for the info. It's like a circle with an eye inside. If you touch that over the photo of the person, then you can add that this is the name of the person or the pet. And when you do that, then through facial recognition, your phone is going to go, oh, if that's a picture of Jamie, then this might also be a picture of Jamie when, a few years ago or when she was an infant. And so it would allow you, again, instead of renaming all the photos, just to make them searchable. Now, Google Photos is a little bit different. You want to tap search and people and pets, and then you'll see the photos without names. So if you haven't named any of them, then they'll all have no name. And then you just select it and choose add name. And this is true for people and pets. So that way, if when you went to search in the future, you could just say Jamie and all the pictures chronologically where I appear, individual photos, or if I'm one of a people in a group, I would show up. So this makes them really searchable. And if all of this is feeling like a lot of tech talk, and you're like, I know it's late on a Thursday, I was just thinking I was going to sort stuff in albums. I'm not really sure what we're doing. Don't worry. I'm going to give you some techniques at the end to get some more like, hand holding in terms of getting some assistance. That's at no charge. So stay tuned. And of course, we've got awesome friends and club members here in the chat. So if you're stuck, pop it in the chat. And my best guess is there's someone here that has the same device you have, and they might just be able to walk you through it. So jump in chat if you're stuck, and we're just glad you're here. We're going to move on from digital in just a moment, and I'm going to tell you all about the dental floss. So here's a photo box. This just happens to be a product. If you want to take a look at it on Amazon, there's the link to take a look at it, https://amzn.to/3tsyk3z. And that should take you to this photo box. It's one of many, and you may already own a photo box like this, but I will tell you this was one of my favorite ways of organizing all the paper photos because I am the keeper of all the photos, family photos, all the photos. And I had all the paper photos that I inherited, and I didn't even know who the people were in a lot of them. So what I was able to do is this is a case, and it holds all these small boxes. They're individual, and you can move them around. And it holds 1,600 photos total. So when I would sit down to work on my photos, I would open the boxes and I would leave them with the lid up. Inside the lid, I put a sticky note as to what photos those were. So as I had a handful of loose photos, and then as I was taking photos out of albums, it was so easy to just kind of almost toss them into the correct box as I went. So what are we doing in terms of how we're sorting them? You're probably sorting them by person. You are maybe sorting some by event or place. And then you're probably sorting some chronologically. I think it's a mix. I don't think it's just an either or. I think it's a mix. For me, it was definitely a mix. It was by event. Well, this was a single vacation. By person, this was a grouping by decade. My sisters as before school years, and then after school years. It wasn't by July of 1999, July of, 2000. That was too rigid, and I just was overwhelming myself. And then, that's probably an easier way to do it, or just all of a same person. So this box can be helpful, or something similar to it. Maybe you have a shoebox and you could just put tabbed dividers and then add photos, behind the correct tab as you're working. So I would maybe suggest, if this is sort of a helpful idea, or, your own shoebox, get that ready, because then you have a place for the photos to go as you're working. Sometimes people put them into envelopes. I don't know that that works as I'm working, because then you've got to stop and put it in an envelope, but whatever works for you is the right answer. So that's the important part. Now you can create digital albums as well. And typically the way to do that is kind of like 4 steps. You open up your photos, but when you're in your photos and you see sort of like thumbnails of all the little photos, like little small pictures of the photos you've taken, that's usually not the right place to make an album. You have to be in albums. And so you might be surprised to see that your phone or your device has already tried to be super helpful and made albums for you. So when you click on albums and you're like, but wait, I didn't make any of these albums. It might be surprising to see that you would have a favorites album. And that's because any picture that you had either clicked the star or the heart on automatically put it into a favorites album. You also, if you downloaded pictures or you have pictures in messages, that would also usually prompt your device to make you an album. Not that you did it, it just did it on its own. So don't be surprised if that's happened and you would just be creating more albums. So usually there's a plus sign or something that says new or create new or more, and then create new, and you'd create a new album. You would name the album, and then you could choose the pictures you want to put in that album. Now, a question that comes up all the time when we talk about making digital albums is, well, if I already have too many photos and I'm running out of storage, when I make an album and I put the photos in the album, doesn't that then make a second picture and put a duplicate in the album? And now I've increased my storage. And the answer, I believe, for most of us, if not all of us, is no. That's not what's happening. If you edit a picture and you say save a copy, then yes, you've saved the original and you've saved a copy. But when you put something in an album, all it's doing is moving it into the album. It hasn't made a duplicate copy. And if you share an album with someone, the storage counts towards you, not towards them. And if someone shares an album with you, the storage is counted on their device and counts towards them and not towards you. So those are just some common questions that come up, and I wanted to pop in and give you those answers. So are we curious about the dental floss? I'm guessing that we are. So let me tell you why you might want dental floss, and that is for any of us that have those quote unquote magic album pages, right? Do these look familiar? So basically they were said magic album, right? But the magic is it was just little strips of glue. And so if you've had some pictures adhere to these permanently and you'd love to get them off the album pages because they're starting to yellow or get brittle, one of the ways I found to successfully do it is a little waxed dental floss. So head to your bathroom medicine cabinet, get a little strand of dental floss. Waxed tends to work better for me. And I just need to get that picture up, the dental floss, right up under a teeny tiny corner. You just have to be able to get it right up under a corner. And then you just sort of shimmy it, right? Like you're, doing a little dental floss, and just shimmy it back and forth. Very little pressure, I've noticed. And then it typically releases the picture. Now, Polaroids, I don't always have success with because there's, chemicals inside of those. But I've done better than not, so I would continue doing it. Before I start to remove any picture that is at risk of being damaged, I snap a photo. In good lighting, without a reflection, steady hand, and I just snap that photo. So that way I have a picture of the picture if something happens to it. And digitizing important pictures that you don't have a copy of sooner rather than later is always, in my opinion, recommended. So good news, it's only going to take about 4 weeks of dedicated deleting, and it's transformational. When you start deleting, and I'm saying deleting in terms of digital, but also discarding in terms of paper photos. It's only about a month. We're right at the beginning of October, which means by the beginning of November, if you are truly dedicated and working on this in maybe 10 minutes a day, honestly, that's all it really would take of consistently discarding, deleting, sorting, and you're going to see a big difference. So if you're like, is this going to be a full-time job for the rest of into 2025? Yeah, it's going to take a while, right? We didn't get all these pictures overnight, but you should see a real difference, which to me is very motivational when I can see the difference. When it's like, I don't know if I made a difference, we're seeing a difference, which is why if you can see how many digital pictures you have, sometimes it shows you a number. The number might be a little scary, but just note the number, because to me, to watch that number decrease is very, very exciting. So I would make a note of the number if you'd like to, but of course you don't have to. So that is the really good news. And of course, maintaining routines are the recipe to success for sure. We can do this 1 or 2 times and see a difference, but then if we don't maintain it, it's all going to go back to how it was. So maintaining, I think, truly is the recipe for success. So what does that look like? Well, that success formula for me is a what plus a when equals a win. What am I going to do? I'm going to delete 100 photos. When am I going to do it? I'm going to do it right now during the end of this program. And that's going to be a win. And then we repeat. What am I going to do? I'm going to take a handful of loose photos and put them in some sort of organized piles. When am I going to do it? I'm going to do it tomorrow. before my favorite show comes on at 7 p.m. So maybe 6:30 p.m. tomorrow. And that's a win. And then what am I going to do? And we just keep repeating. So a what plus a when equals a win. And we just want to keep repeating that formula for success. And one of the ways to do that, I think, is with habit wrapping. Honestly, we've talked about this for decluttering and all the other categories, but when it comes to photos, so easy to do. Try this. Wrap your photo sorting project or your photo deleting project around something you're already in the habit of doing, like laundry or watching a particular television show. So if you happen to do laundry at home, and I know sometimes you go out to a laundromat, but if you do it at home, you're probably in the habit of doing it on a regular basis, maybe at least once a week. So what if you put in a load of laundry and you've got what, 20 to 40 minutes of spin time? That's time where if you're in a laundromat, you could be deleting your digital photos and organizing them. If you're at home, you could be doing paper photos or digital. So wrapping a habit really is a recipe for success. It's a what plus a when equals a win. But because you're doing it around something you're already in the habit of doing, it's like amps up the success factor. It's not like you're saying, oh, I have to add organizing photos to my already busy schedule every week. It's like when I do this, I also do that. So habit wrapping is, I think, really, really successful. So if you're still stuck, and I know we have a handful of ideas that I want to share with you, but also we're going to get to all your questions that may have rolled in. If you're still stuck, just ask. A lot of libraries have one-on-one tech appointments, so you can pop in, speak with someone, sit side by side, and they can actually show you what to do. You may have a tech savvy neighbor or family member. I've got a couple of nephews and a niece, and they're really good at this stuff. They just need to go slow so that I can understand what they're doing and then write it down. And then, of course, if you're an Apple user, so if you have an iPhone, if you have an iPad, you can call 1-800-MY-APPLE, and you can call 24/7. It's free assistance, and they can walk you through everything. So 1-800-MY-APPLE. 1-800-MY-APPLE. Now, I would also maybe consider checking with different spaces in the area, because some, like public libraries, even if it's not a library where you're a card holder, some libraries have access to the public with digitizing equipment where you can go in, you bring your own memory card, and you can digitize things on site. If that's not available to you, or you prefer not to do it because it sounds complicated and it's maybe a little time consuming, Legacy Box is just one of many companies where you can send your items off to be digitized. VHS tapes and slides and reels and all sorts of stuff. Legacy Box, like I'm going to leave a legacy, and then Box, BOX, Legacy Box. So that could be an option for you. We're going to do a little written moment in just, we'll do that together if you'd like to. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget about the idea of a digital photo frame. And if it's Wi-Fi enabled, even better. A digital photo frame that's Wi-Fi enabled means that you'd get the app on your phone. For example, the brand Aura, A-U-R-A, Aura. And when you have the app, it means that any picture that's on your phone, so maybe you took a picture of a picture that's on a frame on your wall. That picture is now on your phone. You can hit the app and send it to your digital photo frame. And I mentioned the Aura brand, not because it's an ad for Aura, but because they have unlimited free storage. Some of the frames are much less expensive, but guess what? The catch is there's a monthly storage fee. So the Aura brand frame is just one. I gave one to my father for Father's Day. We have a brand new baby in the family. My sister she's connected to his because he gave her the code. So on her app, she can just hit the baby's photo and send it to his frame. And then if she calls him and says, what's on your frame? It would be the baby. So the Aura brand digital photo frame, if you wanted to give one as a gift for the holidays, or you wanted one, add it to your wish list, and then friends and family all over the world, as long as they have your code, which it's right on the box when you open it, they can send pictures to your frame. So it's just a possibility, but if you are trying to digitize some of the photos so that you can enjoy them, and they're in boxes or they're in albums or they're stuck in your phone, imagine a continuous slideshow of photos just sliding by. Hang it on your wall, put it on a side table, and it's all your favorite photos just sliding by continuously, which is pretty amazing. I want to share just a last few tips with you, and I know we're going to get right into those questions. So very excited about that. But I just wanted to say that ancestry.com. So ancestry.com, whether or not you're doing your family tree and trying to look things up, ancestry.com allows you to upload photos. If you have special photos of family members through the years, even if you're not the one doing any genealogy work, if you upload them to Ancestry, it's free, all of it's free, and that would allow you to leave your ancestry.com information, login information with your final documents. And at some point, many, many, many years from now, you're no longer here. The stories, the pictures can be in Ancestry, and you didn't have to worry about, is it on a device that no one's going to be able to access? Will they know where it is? Will the technology by then be obsolete and now it's on a disk and no one can use it? So ancestry.com is just one opportunity. So we're going to move into our Q&A portion in just a moment. If you'd like to join me for a little written exercise, please do. And that is creating a timeline. So I just took a piece of paper. You may have a notepad. And the reason I'm suggesting a timeline is if you're trying to sort paper photos by person or by chronological, I totally forget things. When did this person graduate? When was this child born? When did someone get married? When did I get married? Right. And so I'm trying to think like, I'm trying to go kind of quickly and sort the photos, but then I get stuck doing a math equation in my head because I'm like, but I don't know. And when was this? And when was that? So if you were to just sketch out a little timeline, put like your date of birth and any other significant times, and I lay this down as I'm working on the photos, most especially the paper photos. So I go, that was this decade. This was then. Oh, that's when we went on vacation. That was the trip we did here. It's been really helpful for me because I'm very visual. And if you are too, the timeline might be really helpful. So hopefully you're not stuck, but if you are, here are some lifelines. And I'm wondering what your favorite tip was. Maybe what's the best thing that you learned during this program? If you want to pop it in chat, I always love to hear what resonated with you. And so please do let us know if there's a favorite tip, something that you learned today that you're like, whoa, I never knew that. Or, oh, I've just been reminded of that and that's pretty cool. And thank you, of course, a big thank you. A thank you for taking an hour out of your evening and spending it here with us. A big thank you to the library for continuing to bring our Declutter Club to you. And we're going to move into a little Q&A right now. So if you want to stick around for the Q&A, please do. And if you're already sorting photos in the background, we'd love to hear about your progress. So yay. Oh, Lise, thank you. Those are awesome, awesome comments. Oh, I love these ideas. Okay, I'm going to scroll back to the very beginning of our chat. So tell me what you're working on now. Are you deleting some things as we're chatting? Did you get out a handful of photos? So let us know. Very excited. Okay, I see everyone saying hello. I'm just scrolling into the Q&A portion. So, oh my gosh, we have people getting married. Oh, this is fantastic. So, Teresa, enjoy the wedding. That sounds amazing. There was a question from Lois about downloading from a floppy disk. It can be done. So I don't know how inexpensive it would be or how expensive it would be, but floppy disks, I mean, the technology is sort of there. I would start by contacting Legacy Box, and seeing if they have an option from a floppy disk. And in fact, while we're chatting, let me just pop into Legacy Box and see if I can get you a quick phone number, and they would have more information. So some of us do still have, I actually do have a floppy disk. My father was in computer like programming for years, so he has kind of that stuff, which is kind of cool. So let's see. I'm on legacybox.com. I can put it in the chat for you, and they can tell you a little bit more about what is available. And they are, of course, having sales because we're going into the holiday season. So I'll pop that in the chat for you, and it's Legacy Box. All right. Okay, there's a question about how to store photos in a USB. Ooh, okay, so I love the question, but the challenge is I don't know if you want to or why you would want to. So maybe give me a little more information if you can, but let me just tell you about the USB. So many devices now, the new devices don't even come with a USB. So it's like, well, then what's the purpose? They also can fail. Has anyone ever put in a USB or a flash drive or a thumb drive only for it to go, oh, hello, we can't read this. So I'm just concerned you could, also it has a very limited number of photos. So just know that if you use Google Photos, they're all up in a cloud. They're just up there and you can bring them down when you want to. So they're secure up there. Of course, if we overrun the storage, you're going to have to pay. But I mean, if it was for a specific purpose, like all of a one kind of photo to share with someone, but again, just share the album online, maybe. I'm making a leap here that you're comfortable with the tech. So I know you said you've got the answer, but for anyone else that was wondering, again, if you're using an iProduct, so an iPhone or an Apple product, I should say, again, you have a cloud. They automatically are going to the iCloud. So the minute you take a picture or a video, it's going up there and you should be able to get it back. So I think I'm not a fan of the USB drives. Oh, I've lost so many photos through the years. So, however, if you have ones with old photos, that would be another thing to get it out, plug it in if you can, and see what's on it. So that's kind of cool. Nora says, I've used Ever-Present for digitizing old slides. I'm not familiar, so I'm very excited about that one. Jane says, I don't know what to do with the mini video cassettes. Oh, right. Well, Legacy Box could digitize them. You could check with a local library that might have that tech digitizing. You could also check with like a local photographer. So someone that does like wedding photography, they usually have like all this equipment from years gone by, and they might just be able to pull out their cassette thing, pop it into the one to make it big, and then just duplicate it for you, maybe on a CD or something, or lend you the equipment. My local camera shop has that equipment and they just lend it. You give them your driver's license, they write it down, and then you take the equipment, and they didn't even charge. I don't know if that's true of everyone. It's just maybe I have a really cool one, but anyway, photographers, local camera shops, I would definitely make some phone calls. It can happen. It just depends on how. So there we go. So many of you are asking what cute is. Thank you so much. If you've read Keep This, Toss That, or then you know what cute is, but let me tell you now, just in case we're refreshing memories, cute. So I think cute is an acronym. So when you're like, oh, that's such a cute stuffed animal. Oh, that's such a cute, salt and pepper shaker or mini salt and pepper shaker, right? Cute. Think of it as CUTE and think of it as an acronym that I think stands for can't use this ever. Can't use this ever. So when I see something that's like adorable and I'm like, oh, that's such a cute little thing. And then I'm like, no, 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 can't use this ever. Even like cute salad tongs because they have like, pumpkins at the bottom. Usually those salad tongs are not the best quality. They don't fit in my drawer. I can only use them 1 month of the year. I don't know where to store them otherwise. They're difficult to clean. They don't go in the dishwasher. So they're really cute salad tongs. Cute. Can't use this ever. So there we go. Yes, let's review how to batch delete on a phone. Or honestly, I mean, on an iPad too. Beverly, I'm so glad the keywords helped out. So batch deleting, the way that I do it is first I go into the device, I go into the photos, so gallery or photos or wherever you see your photos. And when you're looking at them, because they're on your phone, I will choose the ones that are my favorite. So of my, 40 bumblebee pollen, situation in the flower today, I chose the few that were my favorite because I still couldn't choose from like 5. And oh, before I finish that, let me just say, numbers are a really good thing, I think. Tell yourself, I'm going to delete 10, I'm going to delete 50. And then you've reached your goal, because if there's thousands, it feels like we never reach our goal. So I would give yourself mini milestones. So back to the bulk deleting. I would then choose which ones are a favorite. So sometimes there's like a little star or a heart, right? How do you do that? Like a little heart or a star. So click that and it will highlight the ones that are your favorite. Because when you go back to the camera roll and you see the little pictures, teeny tiny, I can't tell which ones I like and I don't. Then I have to look at each one and choose. Waste of time. So now you'll see the little heart or star directly on the ones you just said you wanted, then delete the others. And usually to delete the others, you're going to press and hold your finger on the screen over a picture for just a moment. And then usually it highlights it with a little circle in the corner of each picture. Touch that little circle for all the ones you don't want, which are going to be the ones that don't have a heart or a star. And then of the other bumblebee pictures, they can go. So I hope I explained that well. Sometimes it's such a challenge. We love virtual, but this is the kind of thing where you're like, oh, I wish you could show me. So try it and see if it works. So keywords and timelines are a favorite. Favorite is the Amazon box, doing the loose photos first. Yes. Oh, thanks for sharing your favorites. That's really helpful. feedback for me, so I really appreciate it. Plus, it just solidifies for you that your hour was well spent, and I sure hope that it was. So, yay! Okay, taking a look for, we've got the floppy disk photo, slides. Susan's got slides. You know, it's about, I don't know, 50 or $60, but there's a machine. Kodak is one of them. It's available on Amazon. You put the slide in, it digitizes it. But remember that technology may be available for you elsewhere. And if you didn't want to spend the time, then you'll have to spend the money and someone else will do it. However, I will say that I have nieces and nephews, and maybe you do too, or, neighborhood children or someone that, like, they're really good at this technology and they don't have the opportunity to, like, you know, do shoveling snow and all that stuff. So it would be great, like, to maybe hire them, give them a pay for an hour, and they could digitize like a whole box of slides like that. So yay. Karen says, I've been wanting to do this forever since the invention of the smartphone. For sure. I thought it would be easier, and now it's like almost more difficult. So, oh yeah, Kodachrome. How many of us have those? I'm just scrolling through. How do you let it go? How do you let get your spouse to let it go? Oh my gosh. If I had the answer to how to get like a partner to let things go, photos or otherwise, I mean, that would just be the secret sauce. I don't know. I think the digitizing can help because you're taking a picture of the actual physical photo and then paring down. Let's choose our favorites. We're going to have space for 5 albums. Pick your favorites that fit in the album. If that works, maybe doing a group project, or let them keep all the photos, but somewhere else, and create space. I don't know. It's such a difficult one. But I think when I start, right, so I'm the tosser in our couple and my husband's the keeper of the couple. Usually they marry each other. Or they partner up together. It tends to be the case. So, he's a keeper of everything. But listen, he's got a tub. Put whatever you want in it. It doesn't bother me because it's behind a closed door. So, yeah, I don't know. It's such a challenge. Oh my gosh, so many great stories of all of you sharing photos. And this is the fun part, right? As we wrap up our time together, I'm just trying to scroll through for pictures I may have missed. Um, yeah, again, happy to let them just be in the bin. The thing is, if they're in a bin, if someone's really a saver of them, because this seems to be coming up a couple times now, um, they just don't do well. Over the years, I've had the pleasure of going into homes with clients, and now getting to join you like this. They just don't do well. People take them out. They're brittle, they're yellow, they're cracked, they're moldy, they're smushed together, something dripped on them. If they're important, like, let's get them out now and enjoy the memories. So let's have, like, I can remember, like, years and years and years ago when I was little, my mom would make popcorn, my dad would get out the slide projector, and then we would, like, watch the slides. Like, that was an activity. And so, like, maybe we bring back the activity of enjoying the photos. Hey, let's go through some, let's live the memories. Let's put pictures of them and text them to people and relive the stories. Like, that's why we have them. So yeah, it's just start with your stuff first. External hard drive, again, the same thing. External hard drive just means outside your computer. So it's the hard drive, which is the drive that saves all the stuff, and it's external, which means it's outside your device. So it plugs into your computer or laptop. The problem is, if it's not an SDD, a solid state drive, SSD, solid state drive, they're very, like, if you turn it, the wheel goes wonky and it never worked again for me. The solid state drive is more expensive, but it's a little, can take a little more moving around. Again, I've plugged it in and they're like, I don't work anymore. And it's like, there go all my photos. So the external hard drive for most of us would act the same as a cloud, and you automatically have a cloud service with Google Photos or iPhotos. It just depends which one you have. So Diane, I just see you mentioning that. It's absolutely great. But again, if it's plugged into the device and something happens to the device, then the same thing might happen to the external drive. So the way you're supposed to use the external drive is put the photos on it, then put that in a fire-resistant, watertight container, which is a lot of work. I think you do need Amazon Prime for Amazon Photos. Amazon Photos is unlimited photo storage. So that's another one. Yes, the editing of a photo. Mention practice, edit, or trim on a video you don't want anyway. Oh, well, if you don't want the video, then just delete the whole thing. But if you want a portion of it, like when the firefly actually lit up, or, the portion of, like, the concert where it's your favorite song. So the video's up, like you were going to be watching it. And usually there's more, or edit, a little pencil, or the word trim, or maybe sometimes trim is under more. And so you'll see this little timeline running under. So watch the video so you know that The 20-minute mark to the 25-minute mark is what you want. So you bring in the little bar down to the 25 mark, you move the bar to the 20 mark, and now you're between 20 and 25 minutes is the portion. The rest of it gets grayed out, and you hit trim, and then it just gives you the 5 minutes as an example that you actually wanted. And if you're stuck for this, take a little video of like the wall and then practice how you could trim a video, and then you'll get really good at it. So hopefully that's helpful. Esther's wondering, how do you make scrapbooks? Well, first I'd say, do you want to? Because I made beautiful scrapbooks for years. My sister had 5 children, and I took all the photos and made the scrapbooks. And now when I take the scrapbook out, everything just falls down because the glue unstuck and the kids don't want the scrapbook. So what I did was to take pictures of the scrapbook pages, upload those pictures to Shutterfly. That makes you an actual bound book where the pictures are part of the page. So they have the scrapbook, but in single glossy pages and not all the extra stuff. So Esther, before you make scrapbooks, just make sure why you'd want to make them. But if you want to make them, because it can be a lot of fun, it's just gluing the pictures in and adding all the little special embellishments if you wanted to. So Madeline says, I collected the greeting cards. Yeah. And I think those go in a treasure box. I keep one from every special person where they wrote something because I love their handwriting, and that's really special. Cheryl says the pics are mostly on the laptop and couldn't find the search icon. That's suspicious. I think it's there. I can't imagine it's not there. I'm not sure where you are in your pictures. So if you're on your laptop, where are you going? Are you going to Google Photos? Are you going to iPhotos? Let me know, Cheryl. There's definitely a way to search. The program I'm using to search, it's not a special program. It's just in your photos. So you open up your gallery, you open up your iPhotos, you open up your Google Photos, just depends on where you are looking at them. Yes, Deborah, thank you for Lois. There is a floppy disk external drive. You plug it in and there we go. Susan says, I tried pet and got dog. Yes. Screenshots, Nora, 2,709. You're rivaling my number. Yep, for sure. Right. And so bye-bye screenshots if you don't need them. So yay. Yes, Sabine. So once you find the photos by the keyword, you can create an album, and then you can make an album of whatever it is that you found, like, business cards, because maybe you snap photos. And remember, the phone, your device is also going to know the word plumber on a business card. So if you type in the word plumber and you took a picture of a business card that said plumber, it will give you that back. So that's what's really cool about it. Oh my gosh, I see everyone was doing the search while we were doing it. We are running out of time, so we're gonna have to leave. Legacy is correct spelling, Mary Jo. Legacy, Legacy Box, BOX, Legacy Box, and I popped it in the chat. Aura Digital Frame, Judy, yes. Ancestry.com, you got it right. Habit wrapping, great idea. Oh my gosh, thanks everyone. Well, we have come to the end. I hope I didn't miss a photo, a question. If I did, my email is my name, jamie@jamienovak.com. So if you need anything post-program, and of course the library can also help us out. So jamie@jamienovak.com. We will be back. So please do plan to join us if you can. And that's going to be November 7th. We have so much more to cover. So we will be back for organizing our clothes closet. And then it's going to be all about the holidays. So getting ready fast. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, library. And the Clutter Club comes back November 7th. We'll see you then. Good night, everyone. Happy photo sorting. Enjoy reliving those memories. So long.